corporate governance is first and foremost in an analytical process. So one of the first things we assess is whether corporate governance is adequate nature. We aren't necessarily shooting for AAA governance or anything, but we don't want junk quality governance. So if we avoid companies with average or below average governance, then certain sectors, by the nature of the sector, and I'm happy to go into greater detail, but by nature of certain sectors, there are greater number of companies in those sectors with very good governance. Let me give you a specific example, IT services. It's not the only sector. Private financials, like the top financial services firms, they're all good governance as well. But let's take IT, go back to IT. IT services, historically there have been big, I'm not saying 100% by any chance, but let's say 80 to 90% of the companies in IT services have above average compared to the overall market corporate governance. On the other hand, I hate to mention any particular sectors, call out a sector's name, but let's assume something that is very commonly believed. And again, I would emphasize 80 to 90% of, let's say, real estate companies that are listed out there have, for a minute assume, have below average corporate governance. Again, I'm not saying it's 100%, so I'm leaving an ample room, 10 to 20% for a lot of companies to be very, very high corporate governance in real estate, which is the case, by the way, right? So in situations like this, what will happen is the team would have a bigger opportunity set, a more fertile hunting ground, or a more target-rich fishing pond, if you will, in the IT services segment of the market. And less so, the reverse would be true in, say, real estate or infrastructure segment of the market. And hence, it is possible that structurally, we may have less exposure to some sectors where it is difficult to, by nature of the sector, there aren't a large proportion of companies with good governance for decades together. So that may evolve over time, but for decades, it may be that there are no sectors. So then there are these structural imbalances, or one can call thieves, that may appear in the portfolio, which we are willing to tolerate. The reason is because in companies with poor governance, we are not saying they will underperform, but there is no way for us to value them appropriately and generate alpha.